Hey everybody. So let's look at redirection. I've already been using some examples and I'll maybe reuse some and just go into more detail. I'm in the downloads folder here. So we have a few different files. Do we have the census? Yes. So let's start by saying, okay, we have the US census. And I'm using the tab key there, the one on the far left of caps lock. I'm just providing some sort of string, and then when I hit tab multiple times, it'll try and match to the files, and it will autocomplete if there's a match, and it will give you options if there is no match. Like for example, we can do the all files where I hit tab, it says, well, which file did you want, Max? For this one, though, we do just want the census. Do we want the census? Yes, 2016. So, cool. We've got our 400 odd rows here of different data. It's probably garbled and not useful, but for our purposes, it's useful. What we can do is say, I want to redirect the output. That is the output going to the terminal here, which again is the standard out, which is usually abbreviated standard out. Redirect that standard out output somewhere else. A file, a program, a service, whatever. It's going somewhere. In our case, it is going to another file. So we'll take that, and we have one of two options. We have the single parentheses or double. And the single is going to overwrite your data. This is kind of the dangerous one. You could end up assuming you're going to append, or creating an automated system that is, again, assuming appending will happen, and then overwrite all your historical data and end up with a lot of trouble if you did not back up that file and that file did exist. In our case, the file doesn't exist because this is going to be a new file, .text. There it is. It exists now. It didn't before. We can get more information on that. Let me show you this. So we'll get more information by saying new. So there it is, the name, and of course the creation time. So just a few minutes ago. Yep, just under a minute ago. And this is great, but let's say we want to pull out some data like we had before with other piping and say, Georgia. Now we just have Georgia data here. So we have printed out the original CSV, piped it to grep, and then redirected grep's output into new file.txt. And great, so we obviously overwrote it because this was the original file up here. And all that data is gone. So if we weren't backing this up, or we didn't work with a database or something, we'd probably be nonplussed because that's a lot of data. Maybe it's delicate data too, like maybe it went through a ton of manual operations to get it to this state, so be careful. The easier way, like let's say if we wanted to look at Wisconsin, we want to know about cheese or something, and we don't want to overwrite the Georgia data, we want to keep it. Maybe we want to compare the two states for some metric. Now, let's take a look at the new file. There we go. So we have simply appended, or the OS has gone down and done some IO operation to say, hey, please just write at the end of the file here, or wherever you find the end of the file marker, and just append on all this, save it, close the file. So it's pretty powerful what you can do with redirects, because there's there's no limit here, just like piping. You're relying on simple systems doing one thing to then take that output and move it somewhere else. You could write a custom like Python tool that maybe looks for each state, checks the file for every state here, and by state I mean in the literal U.S. state like Georgia or Wisconsin, and create some tally. Like maybe you add up this first column here for every state, and then you generate a new CSV file with that data, the summed up tallies, like kind of doing the CSV operation through a Python file instead of relying on a human to go through and edit the data. And then you could pipe it just like this and say like, grep Wisconsin, or Python in your case, you'd say like Python, because you'd want to call the Python interpreter, Python my CSV edit, and then send it all out here. Obviously, this Python file doesn't actually exist. This is all hypothetical, but you can hot drop and hot swap just anything you want, anything you've written, any tool you find on the internet. It's very, very useful and kind of the foundation of most IT work and most work that gets done, in bigger companies that use Unix and Linux systems. There's obviously alternatives for Windows and what Windows does there in the Microsoft environment. But yeah, I hope this illustrates kind of what you can do with appending and redirecting. And check the link below for more information on redirecting. And as always, Google and just look around on Stack Overflow. All right, thank you.